Who can receive blood from whom?
O can receive blood from every
Yeah,
A and B.
It's
We'll find out.
They're universal donors.
Right. Okay, let's look into that.
They can give to anybody, but they can't receive.
Yeah, they can't receive.
So again, we said the possible blood types are A, B, AB, and O. So what do any of these mean? So, as I said before, so again, we're focusing here on your red blood cells. So if your blood type is A, what that means is that you have A antigens. And if your blood type is B, you have B antigens on the surface of your red blood cells. If your blood type is AB, you have A antigens and B antigens on your red blood cells. And then if your blood type is O, you don't have any of those antigens.
Now, does that mean,
Okay, so if your blood type is A, you have A antigen. If your blood type is B, you have B. If your blood type is AB, you have A antigen and B antigen, not an AB antigen.
when, for the blood type O, I know, it says you have neither A or B, so does that mean they don't have any antigen on the blood cells?
Does not, no. Okay. Okay, to answer your question, the red blood cells have different antigens, a lot of different antigens. But this is the antigens that are specific to blood type. Okay? So neither A nor B. Okay? So what are antigens? Anybody? What purpose do they serve? So we have antigens on the surface of all of our cells. Right? Right, so our antigens allow the rest of our cells to detect what belongs and what does not. So they're kind of like fingerprints, so that our immune system doesn't start to attack. So what does our immune system do to foreign antigens? So if we get a cold or we get some type of infection, well, bacteria, for example, is going to have antigens. So our immune system is responsible for detecting antigens that are foreign and attacking them. What happens if somebody else's organ is put into your body? Same thing. Our immune system is going to detect that the antigens on that organ are foreign and try to attack that organ. Okay? So the antigens on our cells help our immune system to detect what belongs and what does not. So it can start to take action against any antigen that does not belong. Okay? So that's antigens. That's what they're there for. Now, the other thing you have to think about are antibodies. What is it that targets the antigens? So our antibodies have that job to search out any foreign antigens and attack them and mark them for destruction. So our antibodies are going to, you could say, attack foreign antigens. So antibodies' job is to attack foreign antigens. Okay, so here's where it gets a little tricky. But you should know the possible antigens here. So what are the possible antigens we've talked about? We only have A antigens and B antigens. So only A antigens and B antigens can be attacked. Okay? So what attacks an A antigen? An A antibody attacks an A antigen. So another thing you need to know then is if a person's blood type is A, which antibodies will we expect to see in their blood? In their blood plasma, which antibodies will be there?
B.
Anti-B antibodies. Okay? So of the two, we would not have anti-A because those anti-A antibodies would do what?
Attack the antigen.
Attack our red blood cells. Okay? But we do have anti-B so that the immune system can fight off foreign blood cells that come into our body. Okay? So first let's make sure you understand which antibodies you would have based on your blood type. So here, this person would have
Anti-B.
anti-B antibodies. What about this person? Would they have anti-B antibodies? No, because those antibodies would what? Attack their red blood cells. So instead they would have what?
Anti-A.
Anti-A antibodies. And what about here?
Will they have those antibodies?
So they would have neither anti-A nor anti-B. Why not?
Because it'll attack the red blood cells in its own body.
Very good. Okay? So AB blood type, they would have an A antigen and a B antigen. Thus, they could not have anti-A or anti-B because it would still attack their red blood cells. What about O?
Will have either.
They're gonna have both.
Would they have those?
Yeah. Okay? So here's the key. Well, we want to write this down. We produce antibodies. We produce antibodies against the antigens that we do not have. We produce antibodies against antigens that we do not have. And that should help you to remember which antibodies we have here. So we produce antibodies against the one antigen we don't have. So if you have the A antigen, you don't have the B antigen, so you have anti-B. Okay? Here you have B antigen, so you make anti-A. And here you don't have either one, right? Because you have both antigens, and you're only making antibodies against what you don't have. So a person with blood type O has neither of those antigens, therefore
They can produce both antigens.
they're going to produce anti-A and anti-B. Okay? So just based on that, and let's just say Sue, let's give them names. So Sue has A blood type. Mike has B blood type. Joe has AB. And Sarah has O blood type. Who can Sue receive blood from? Now here's the thing you're looking at. And this is what gets confusing. If you're thinking about the recipient, Sue is receiving blood. What she's going to receive from these people are their red blood cells, not their antibodies. Okay? So she's receiving their blood cells. So what you have to be concerned about is the person receiving the blood, what antibodies do they have? Because their antibodies are going to what?
Attack the red.
Attack whatever blood comes into their body.
So
Okay?
she can only get blood from an A
So
type
can she
or
get
an
blood
O
from
type.
Joe?
She can
So-
get blood from Sarah and
So first, can she get blood from Mike?
no.
No, because her anti-B is going to attack his B antigen. Okay? Can she receive blood from Joe?
No.
Why not? So she has anti-B.
Because Joe doesn't have an anti-A antibody, so he's able to give blood to her. Won't?
Because
Oh, well, he,
if AB goes into her blood,
He's gonna reject.
this anti-B is looking for B antigens. So what is it looking for? This anti-B is looking for any B antigen to attack.
Oh, got it.
Only zero.
You don't get it from Sarah.
So Sarah,
only
what about
me,
Sarah?
Sue.
Sarah, yeah.
So Sarah has no antigen to attack. And that's why you all say O is the universal donor, because O blood doesn't have antigens that can be attacked by a recipient's antibodies. Okay? Now, let's jump to Joe. Who can Joe receive blood from? So, again, what did I say you look at first? What are Joe's antibodies?
So he can receive from Sue, Mike, and Sarah.
He can only receive from Sarah.
Sarah.
He can receive from
He can
anybody.
receive from
What are his antibodies? That's the first thing you look at.
He can receive from anybody.
The concern is what his antibodies are going to do to the foreign cells coming in. What are his antibodies?
None.
He doesn't have any. So he doesn't have anti-A or anti-B. So why would his blood attack an A antigen?
It has
Oh, yeah,
been
because
Joe.
I thought you said, yeah, okay, I get you. They get the red blood cells, not the antibodies.
Exactly, that's what you have to remember. They're just getting the red blood cells, so you're just focused on what's on the red blood cells. Okay, that's what confuses you. So make sure the only person you're concerned about who their antibodies is the recipient. Okay? Y'all got it?
Yeah, okay.
So AB is the universal what?
Recipient.
Recipient. Because they don't have the what? Antibodies that would attack the foreign antigens coming in. Who can Sarah receive from?
Ta-da.
Sarah. Right.
That's such a pretty name, you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, so Sarah cannot receive AB or AB blood because she has anti-A and anti-B. Okay, y'all got that?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, because there's a next step.
I have
Now we go into
I have a question that maybe nobody should listen to because it's going to confuse everybody. But when you give your blood, of course there's antibody. You have antibodies in your blood from the B cells, right?
The positive and negative. So nobody's just A blood type, right? You got A positive or what?
B.
A negative. Okay, so you could be negative or positive for either of these. So really, you all are gonna have to learn. So you have one person A positive, somebody else A negative. Mike is B positive. Let's say Tony is B negative. And then Joe is A B positive. And yeah, let's say Cheryl. Cheryl is AB negative. Sarah's O positive. I am O positive. And Jeff
Who ain't it?
is O negative. Who's A
Daryl.
negative? Daryl? Okay. So Daryl's A negative. So now, here's the thing. So Sue is A positive. So all positive means is that there's another antigen involved here. And it's usually D, represented as D, but it's called RH factor, so I use RH. So if a person is A positive, they have an A antigen and the RH antigen. So I just add one here. So the possible antigens are A, B, and RH. In your book, it'll say D. But, so the positive just means you have that antigen. Negative means what? You don't. Okay? So Daryl, his red blood cells would have A's and no RH. Okay? Mike is B positive, so he'd have what? an RH.
Because the RH is negative.
On the RH makes it positive.
No, the presence of RH means you're positive.
Okay.
Right. So if you're B negative, so Tony would have what? Just a B, no RH. Then Joe, what would Joe have?
And RH.
A, B, and RH. And Cheryl, just A and B. And then Sarah.
RH.
So Sarah would have
Just the RH.
just RH, very good. And then Jeff,
Have none.
none of them. Good. So now you have to go back and determine this part too. Ooh,
Okay,
that's why I
so
take it step by step.
does that
Same
mean?
thing. So you make antibodies against what? The antigens that you do
don't.
not have.
I'm saying we do.
So Sue does not have which? So these are the only three possibilities. Sue has an A antigen and an RH, so she doesn't have
B.
B, so that means she would have B, anti-B antibody. Okay, what about Daryl?
Daryl have anti-B and anti-RH.
Daryl? Daryl's A negative.
So,
Oh, you're saying anti?
Yeah,
That's what you're
yeah,
saying. Okay,
anti-A.
I thought you. So since Daryl is A, he only has the A antigen, he's gonna make antibodies against whatever else
That's
that
left.
he doesn't have. So he would be anti-B and anti-RH, or have anti-B and anti-RH. And what about Mike? So Mike has a B antigen and an RH, B and RH, so he would have what?
anti-A.
Anti-A.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
What about Tony?
Tony produced anti.
He has
A
B antibodies,
Antibodies.
antigen,
Antigens.
so that means,
He'll produce anti-A and anti-RH.
right, he's gonna produce antibodies against whichever antigens he does not have. So if he has one antigen, he's gonna have two antibodies. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you just see one letter, you should know that there's gonna be two what? Antibodies. Okay, so Tony would have what?
Anti-A and anti-RH.
Okay, what about Cheryl?
Cheryl will only produce anti-RH antibodies, right?
Right. So Cheryl would have anti-RH. And I'm just gonna put that over here. So Cheryl has anti-RH because, so she has A antigens and B antigens. So the only thing she doesn't have is RH, so she's gonna make antibodies against RH. And what about Sarah? Sarah. Anti-A and anti-B. What about Jeff?
Jeff will have
Anti-everything.
Anti-everything.
Yeah.
So Jeff would add anti-RH to it.
Anti-A, anti-B.
A, B, and RH. All right, now tell me who can receive blood from whom.
I need to get up and see this. I'm straining my neck.
So who can Sue receive blood from?
So, Sue got anti-B. And, so,
Sue can receive.
So Sue can't receive from anyone that has,
B. Right.
B or
Anti-B.
anti. Oh no, because she got an anti.
B.
she has anti-B, but anti-B only. So she can receive from
Sarah.
Sarah.
anyone who does not have a B, right? And who does not have a B? So can she receive from Daryl? Let's go in first.
No,
Let's look at that. Let's go one by one. So can Sue receive from Daryl?
no.
Why?
Cause he has anti-RH.
We don't care about his anti-anything.
Oh,
All we're looking at is his what?
Yeah, she can.
His antigen. Right? So let's go back. This is the first step. The person who's receiving the blood, you only look at their what?
Antibodies.
Antibodies. And Sue's antibodies are what? Anti-B. So she can receive blood from anybody that doesn't have a B.
Antigen, right?
Antigen, right. Yeah, you don't look at everybody else's antibodies, just their antigen. So she can receive from Daryl,
Yes.
okay?
she can?
Right, so there's her B, he doesn't have a B to attack.
Okay, I thought, and I could be wrong, and forgive me if I am, but I thought because she has the RH and he has an anti-RH, that, it would attack her, his blood would attack hers.
She's not getting
She's not getting his antibodies.
She's not getting them.
Oh, okay.
She's just getting his red blood cells. Yeah, so focus on the donor's red blood cell. What do they have that can be attacked?
Gotcha.
That's what you're looking at. What does their cells have that can be attacked by her antibodies? Okay? Can Daryl receive blood from Sue? So what are Daryl's antibodies?
Anti-B and anti-RH.
He has anti-B and anti-RH. So his
His own antibodies.
antibodies are going to
the
attack
blood cells.
RH and B. And she has what?
RH.
So her RH could be attacked by his
Anti-RH.
anti-RH antibodies.
Okay, I get it.
Okay, it takes a minute. It's going to take a minute. All right, what about Mike? Did we say who Sue could receive from? Who all Sue could receive from? Anybody without a B.
So,
So he could Sue could receive from Daryl. Who else?
Sarah.
Sarah and Jeff. And Daryl can receive from
Sarah and Jeff.
yeah, Sarah. No, just Jill.
Just Drake.
He got, yeah.
right. So here's the easy way. A positive can receive negative blood. A person who's positive can receive negative blood, but a person who's negative cannot receive positive blood. Okay, that kind of makes it easy for you.
Say it one more time.
A person whose blood type is positive, just say positive can receive negative, but negative cannot receive positive. So when you see the list, if you see negative, you know Daryl can't receive any positive. So you just scratch those out immediately. Okay, so Daryl can receive only from who?
Jill.
Jeff. Nobody with B's, nobody with positives. The only thing left is Jeff. Okay, what about Mike? Who can Mike receive blood from?
Tony.
Tony,
Sarah and Jeff.
Sarah and Jeff. Tony, Sarah and Jeff. Right? Everybody get that?
Mm-hmm. Tony can only receive from Jeff.
Tony can receive from Jeff. Is that it? Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Tony can only receive from Jeff. Why? Because Tony has which antibodies? Anti-A and anti-RH. So he can't receive blood from anybody that has an A or a positive. Okay? Who can Joe receive from?
Everybody.
How do you know?
He doesn't have an A or B.
He doesn't have anti-A, anti-B, or anti-RH, right? Because he has the RH antigen. So Joe is the universal recipient. He can receive from anyone. And what about Cheryl?
Cheryl can receive from Joe, Sarah, and Jeff.
Can Cheryl?
No, not Sarah. Just
No, Cheryl. So Cheryl is AB negative.
What's that? Oh, okay.
So Cheryl can't receive from Joe,
Oh
right?
no, because he's negative.
Because he's positive. Negative can't receive positive blood.
So just
So all you're looking at is negative.
Huh?
Who negative can she receive from? Can she receive from Daryl?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes. Right?
Darryl, Tony,
Can she receive from Mike?
No.
Tony?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And then Sarah?
No.
No. And Jeff?
Yes.
Yes.
So
So Darryl, Tony, and Jeff. So only the negatives. And what about Sarah? Who can Sarah receive from? So Sarah has anti-A and anti-B. So anybody that doesn't have a A or B.
So Jeff.
So just
So
Jeff.
Jeff. And who can Jeff receive from? Poor Jeff.
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 Poor thing.
Yeah, he
So
can
that's why
receive from-
Red Cross always needs what?
Oh, negative.
O negatives. To help out Jeff and also because everybody else can receive O negative. So really O negative is the universal donor. O positive is not. Because O positive can only give to positive. All right. Any questions there? It's gonna take some time. So next week after you all get past this,